Hi, I'm the Monkaholic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today, I'm going to be reading an email I got. It's a fun one. I felt like I needed to talk about it. So, if you enjoy my content, this or otherwise, like I said, today we're going to be reading an email that I got about a game that I received a product key for on Steam that I was actually looking forward to playing. But I had an issue because I run a Fedora system. I run Linux because I don't like Windows. I don't like the bloatware that's kind of mandatory these days. Like you can't get an update that's not just crashing your RAM and your CPU with a bunch of shit you don't even use. Like they added that little weather thing to the start bar, and that thing ate up 2 gigs of RAM when they first put it out, and they keep doing shit like that. And then you've got all the AI they're putting out on there. And I'm just not interested. I'm on the fence about AI because I think AI, even generative AI, used as a tool is fine. It should never be the end product, and it should never be used to it should never be used in a way that harms people. It should never be used to create art. Should never be used to, like, if you're using it as a tool to, like, hey, I need this bit here filled in with a brick pattern, and you don't really have the time to do it yourself. That's one thing. That's being used as a tool, right? So being used as a tool, I think AI is. I've used it as a tool to help with some of my thumbnails, but ultimately, I'm still the one making the thumbnail. And they've got all of that in with Microsoft now, and the Windows and all of that, and I'm just not a fan. So I've switched to Fedora. Now, this game that I will not be identifying, I will not be identifying the developers either. If you know who they are from this email and the take, don't say anything. Don't do anything. Don't harass them. Don't say anything about it. Just put it down in the comments and, oh, yeah, that was weird. Okay. We're not doing that. I don't need any legal trouble. Okay. But we are going to be reading this email and talking about some of the stuff in it. And you're going to see the whole email. Basically, what had been going on is I got the Steam key for this game, redeemed it because it looked interesting, and I was actually looking forward to playing it and doing a video on my channel. But it didn't just straight up work with my system because it didn't, which is fine. Not everything does. Using Linux, I'm aware of that. Sometimes I have to do a little bit of extra work to get it going, but I normally can. But it didn't. And I don't check this email address often enough. I I just don't. It's not something I'm in the habit of. Something I need to change. I take that responsibility. But there was a series of emails, I guess, leading up to this where the last a few before this one came into, like, oh, we don't want to be all Orwellian and blah blah blah. And, well, if you didn't want to be all, if you don't mean to be all Orwellian, just let it go, man. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I actually did see that one, and I responded to it like, hey, yeah, it's just like I'm having a hard time getting the game working. Da 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 da. Do you have any suggestions? They say, oh, well, no, we don't, which is fine, totally fine. It's my okay. Well, I'm gonna see if I can get it working and see if I can do a video on it as soon as I can. As I've been looking forward to it. Blah blah blah. And then that's when I get this email back. This was actually 11 days ago, and have not responded via email. I'm not going to, but I'm going to talk about this because this is a wild ass take. I don't know. I just feel like it's something that should be talked about. So without further ado, let me move my fat ass out of the way, get me back up here, and let's talk about it. So, starts out, to be completely honest, I don't think you should keep trying and would feel bad if you did. And at that point, I'm thinking, oh, they just don't want me wasting my time. Maybe, being the programmers and stuff, they know there's something in there that's just going to make it not work. Like, so that's what I was thinking when I read that first line, right? And then I continued, because there's a lot of email here. Our reasoning for not releasing it for operating systems other than Windows has more to do with morals than technical hassle. What set of morals could explain that bit right there. What good set of morals could you have to not have it at least function on bare minimum Mac OS? Like, that's another major operating system that a lot of people use, right? Not usually for gaming, but they do use it. So why not at least that, right? Continuing on, and we've just not put it into words, which is how come we didn't explain this earlier. Okay, fine. We see zero issue with Windows. I've explained my issues with Windows already. And a lot of people agree with me. And literally no reason for any other desktop OS to exist. How about competition? How about preventing monopolies so that Windows doesn't just become thousands upon thousands of dollars just to have an OS for your computer? How about driving innovation forward? Because that's another big problem with monopolies like that, is that it stagnates innovation. It doesn't just make things infinitely more expensive, it makes things worse. How about that? Just to start. Particularly with your point about using Proton also. So they're digging into more here. You'd be using an operating system filled with software that is given away for free, funded primarily through donations, and largely worked on by people who are wasting their time working for free and sacrificing themselves. It's an interesting take, but okay, let's take a look at that. Yes, it is software that is essentially given away for free. It is primarily funded through donations. Where is the problem there? And the people who are wasting their time and working for free and sacrificing, no, they're not. There is actually a large number of the people who work on Linux systems and and all of that that are doing it specifically to develop their skill set to further their careers. The fact that it's given away for free has nothing to do with it, because where they make money is somewhere else, and this is something that they do to make themselves better at their jobs. That's not this, right? But let's even like take a look at Proton specifically. There are like diet Proton, or some of them is actually even works better, that you can get, that again developed for free for people developing their skill set, and a handful of people that just want to see it be better because they use it. But like, let's even just stick to like the mainline Proton, the one that comes built into Steam. They aren't building that for free. They aren't wasting their time working on it. That is developed by Valve Corporation for the Steam platform. They are getting paid for that work. There's nothing here is supporting this argument, right? So let's continue on. We find this very charitable and a complete waste of so many people's effort. And we say charitable in a negative light, as even in the game itself, it has a dialogue about charity being bad. That's where I feel like the main point of this email is coming in, right? And here's, I guess, the quote from the game: charity is a reward for being miserable. Charity is evil and a grift. Nobody in their right mind can contribute to it, and welfare is stolen charity. Charity diverts the resources of the economy and creates dependency. It also rewards misery, which of course creates more of it. The best way of making the world a better place is creating value. It is not by moving resources around to reward others for being miserable. Charity straight up makes the world a worse place. And that is the single most insane take I have ever come across in my 33 years of existence. Charity is not a reward for being miserable. Charity is helping people who, in a lot of situations, have no other recourse. There's not always a way out of poverty. And it's actually getting, in a lot of cases, a bit more difficult, because it used to be you go to college, you get a degree, you get the high paying job, boom, you're out of poverty. Now, you go to college, spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in student loans that you have to pay back with insane interest rates in some cases, And then you actually still might be struggling with poverty afterward and the high paying jobs because of those interest rates and having to pay back those loans. It doesn't always work like that, but it is more and more often the case. Charity is not moving around resources and creating dependency. It is giving of resources to people who need them, who also contribute in whatever ways that they can. In the majority of cases, there are times where, okay, if you're giving a guy on the street $50, he might go buy beer with it and not actually do anything good. But even if he's going out buying beer, that's still other money being put back into the economy, driving the economy forward. So even though it's not helping that one person, it does actually still help the economy at large, because money has to move for things to work. It just doesn't work the way that it's described here. And yes, in some cases, it can create dependency. Some people are kind of predatory with it and seeking dependency in the first place. And the thing is that it doesn't reward misery. Because it's coming back to that point again, and it's not what it does. And in a lot of cases, if you can help somebody out of the place where they're being miserable, they don't go on to create more misery. And I've actually found that, like, most of the time when you're helping somebody out of a miserable situation, they go on to help other people be not miserable. If you are out as an individual to make people miserable, you might be able to. If you are out as an individual looking to help create joy and uplift others, you might be able to. As a whole, if what you're saying is true, the entire world, every single person in it, would be nothing but miserable, and that is simply not the case. The best way of making the world a better place is creating value. That is extremely vague, because what actually creates value, right? Is it making something that people use? Is it uplifting somebody? Is it the air you breathe? Like, is the air you breathe valuable? Because that's technically given to you for free. That is a charity of Mother Nature. The viewpoint of charity being a reward for misery is, putting it as kindly as I can, foolish. Absolutely foolish. And they continue on even more. Furthermore, we find the philosophy of open source is very wrong. We find it based on the above issue of having people work on things that they shouldn't. And we find it based on people being paranoid. It seems like many open source advocates would demand to be in the back of the kitchen when their food is being made to make sure nobody would spit on it, and it just seems ridiculous. Or maybe, just maybe, it's people fixing problems that they've seen in the best way that they know how. And you know what? Sometimes people have had their food spit in. It happens. It shouldn't. It's terrible. But you know what? If you've been in a situation where you're having your food spit in multiple times, you might just start cooking at home or open your own restaurant. It happens. Bare minimum is this thought process of, okay, I went through this shitty thing. I don't want somebody else to go through this shitty thing. So I'm going to make a place where it doesn't happen. Wild thought process, right? With these people working on things that they shouldn't, who are you to say that? Because again, there aren't many alternatives to, say, Microsoft Word, right? There is the open source version and there is the Google Docs version. Both of those are technically open source freeware. So again, we're back to a foolish argument. It just seems ridiculous. You're the ridiculous one. We are hypocritical as well because we are using Steam, made by Valve, who we believe are wasting a lot of time working on Steam OS and such with similar issues, and we apologize. But we think Steam is still worthwhile for users. How? When they made Steam as a platform for buying and selling games, the main thought process behind it wasn't, we can make money on this, right? It was like, how can we make this experience better for people, and maybe we take a cut. Because Valve as a company was actually doing okay before they put out Steam. Between Half-Life, Portal, and Left 4 Dead, they were doing okay. They had games that were supporting them. They did this as an extra thing for the sole thing of benefiting people and maybe making money off. Because, granted, yes, they are a for-profit company. They make a lot of money off of this. Not as much as some other platforms. There have been a few now that I think pretty sure have been exposed for some actually pretty heinous business practices and actually like really high percentage of what they take off of game sales compared to Steam's, hey, we're just going to go with the industry baseline standard. Like, where's the problem? But even if you still think Steam is worthwhile for its users, what exactly would you have them do? Would you have them take 100% cut? Would you have them do more to screw over their user base? Because Steam actually does quite a bit to make gaming accessible and easy for as many people as possible. Because they want people to enjoy this hobby. And really, yeah, that is really hypocritical, like to an extreme degree, because the entire thing is that it's based on a charitable thought process rather than just money, 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 money. So, yeah, I really wanted to talk about this. It probably is going to get buried by some other videos. If you have opinions on this, leave them in the comments down below. I would love to turn this into a discussion, honestly, because this is kind of insane. Like the whole thing of charity is evil, grift, bad for society, and all that just has been proven to be untrue. Like time and time again, if it was a hindrance to society, it would be illegal, like pyramid schemes, which technically are still around in the form of multi-level marketing, blah blah blah. Still a pyramid scheme, should be illegal. But typically, when things are that much of a problem for society at large, they aren't legal to do. Like scams are illegal. People get arrested for that all the time. So yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about this. I just felt like it needed to be talked about and put out here. Again, I'm not identifying anybody here. I'm not saying the devs' names. I'm not giving out the name of the game. Insane takes all the way around in this. I can't process it, and I just felt like it needed to be out there. But again, if you enjoy the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember, we are trying to get enough subscribers to spawn a new Chaos God, hopefully by the end of summer. And yeah, I guess I will see you next time.